Hello and good morning. Welcome to the Sunday Sundae Podcast. We are so glad you're here. How's everybody doing? I don't know, when we drop this episode, I think it'll still be January, maybe early February. So we've been talking a lot amongst our group about, how there's this pressure when the new year starts that we're going to do new things, we're going to set goals, we're going to go to the gym and lose weight and find a new job and this and that. We make all these lofty goals at the beginning of January, but there's also this whole idea out there that January is not the right time for a reset. There's this whole theme of in January, we rest because again, we're in the middle of winter and it's not the right time to put a lot of stress on our body. So I saw this on Instagram and I shared it with the ladies. So I'm just going to read this. It says, in January, we rest. January isn't a new year. It's the deep middle of winter. There's very little light, very little warmth, and not a lot of spare energy going around. Yet, this is the month we're sold fresh starts, big plans, and new year, new me energy. Wintering is the inward season, when life slows, energy gathers, and nothing is meant to be rushed. For most women, Christmas wasn't restful. It was effort, planning, making it magical. By midlife, the body knows rest isn't something to apologize for. So when January arrives and motivation is low, that's wintering doing its work. This month is for going inward, hot tea, early nights, and letting winter be winter. So that's the idea that maybe as we've said in another video, we've been sold this idea that January is the time we're supposed to spring into action, but that doesn't necessarily align with the natural energy of what's happening, at least in the northern.
So everybody out there who feels pressured with New Year's resolutions, you got time. You have until April 1st, so procrastinate if you wish. It's okay.
Why April 1st? Say more about that.
Because April 1st is when, in kind of what we had talked about earlier and in the video sent is April springtime, when everything, that's when spring, everything comes to life. Your flowers bloom and the ice is melting and the water is flowing. That's when life restarts, I guess you can say. That's how I see it. Yeah. So procrastinate away, ladies and gentlemen. I think I've steered away from New Year's resolutions. I think my new year kind of started a few weeks ago with the plans that I want to do in 2026. And my theme is living fearlessly, to be fearless this year and to do things that might otherwise challenge me. That's what I'm doing this year. And I have jumped in with 2 feet, talking with family members, making plans. So I hope that I'll have something by April 1st to come back when we come back here and be like, okay, this is where I'm at April 1st. I'm excited.
Savvy, what do you want to say?
I just think that we've gotten out of the hunter and gatherer kind of mindset.
Mm-hmm.
In that place, you had to learn how to read the stars. You had to learn when the animals were sleeping. And it makes me wonder about what is that animal every year that we're waiting for? The groundhog. We're waiting for the groundhog to come up in March and April. And sometimes it goes back in and says, it's not time to get up yet. And we all are, even though we're human, all are what? Homo sapiens. We're all we all live in this place of being an animal or being on a schedule like one another. Why is it that they would change something like that so detrimentally? Because I'm tired in January. I don't want to do nothing in January. I'm cold. I'm tired. I want to sleep in. No one wants to go outside in this weather. It's a big deal.
You can't garden. You can't do the things that you enjoy doing outside because
lack
it's
vitamin D.
Yes.
There's no sunlight.
Right. I think the idea behind this whole idea of in January we rest is, there's this cultural shift that we're trying to move away from this the whole idea of new year, new me resolutions and embracing what's naturally happening in the world. I think January is a really good time, for us to be reflecting, to restore, especially for those of us who still have young kids. I think, again, culturally, there's also a lot of pressure around the Christmas holidays. And so I think there's like this post-holiday fatigue that happens for a lot of women after the Christmas season because there's so much effort that goes into it. And it's not that way for me. But I recall the younger days. I remember when Lizzie was young, and I don't know if you guys remember the Tickle Me Elmo. There's always like that one toy that people wanted. And I remember for us as children, it was the Cabbage Patch Kids.
Oh, I was just going to say that. Cabbage Patch Kids. Yes.
But anyway, there's just so much effort that goes into making that Christmas time magical for the people that we love that January, just seems like this natural time to sort of like recharge our batteries rather than, rushing ahead for, okay, now Christmas is over and now I've got to, do this goal that society says I should be wanting to do. So, I think it behooves us to align more with the natural dormancy that's happening in the world right now. Like you said, the flowers are sleeping, the bears are resting. Maybe the mamas are getting pregnant for the babies to come in April, but I think it would be a great time for us to just align with what's happening in nature.
So what does that alignment look like to you?
I think it's reflection, honestly, for me, because I do kind of get excited about the new year energy. It feels exciting, but again, I think physically and emotionally, it's not the right time, but I think it's a great time for contemplation because that's kind of what the world is doing. The world is quiet right now. So I think it's a great time for inner work, for journaling, for thinking about what we want to do. I definitely don't want to discourage people from like going for it. If you have this thing on your heart, you're going to start your podcast or you're going to get that new job. Maybe now's the time that you start planning. Okay. You start working on your resume. You start kind of formulating your plan B if your idea is to exit your full time and go part time and do something else, or you start outlining your ideas for your podcast. Whatever's on your heart, I think now is not necessarily the time to jump in, but to really focus on creating that, like doing the backstage work to create it, to be ready for it to happen. What do you think?
I always believe that whether you go to a school, college, or in with family, January has always been said as a reset month. We have taught to treat January like it's actually a reset button, new year, new goal, new energy, new beginning. But like you both said, nature tells us a very different story. It's a month. It's actually not a season. It's a month for stillness. The earth is quiet. The seeds are not rushing to come out. The trees are bare. So it's actually a reset button to do a lot of self-work and reflection. The days are shorter. Hardly any light around. So for me, how I think is that everything essential is happening out of sight, So for me, I believe January is to pause. January is to be in that stillness that what went good the last year, what I could do better to be a better version of myself the coming year. So for me, it's a month with very low expectations and being kind to your own self. Rather than being nice to the world, but first be kind to your own self and embrace those gentle days. That's what I think.
I think this is a great time to read.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
100%, yeah. Like you said, to, what is it? Paula, the paragraph that you read, it has to listen, not to launch or something, it said. There was a line that you pay more attention. And one thing that I say is to restore and not to reinvent. Just restore yourself.
For me, all the words that come to mind start with RE, like regenerate, restore, renew, fresh, rest. It's all those words that like mean
Reinvent.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, it's regenerate. When you think about like the seeds and the plants and the trees, there's something that's happening under the ground that is unseen, like you said, Minu. And that is like building up a foundation to create and grow beauty in the spring, and it's my birthday's in January. And for me, the beginning of the year is like, oh gosh, another year behind me. I'm getting older. But I think in midlife, like in the years that we are right now, like getting older is really beautiful. And getting older, there's more a sense of gratitude towards every day because I feel like I wake up, with some aches and pains and I'm like, okay, but I've earned this. this is the season of my life where I have earned the soreness in my knees because I can't squat the way that I used to, or I can't lunge the way that I used to. So when I wake up with sore knees, it means that like my body's at work, right? Like Paula, you just told me a week ago, I was complaining to you about how my body just feels so different. And you're like, you just got to push through. You got to just push through those pains in your joints because that means that you're doing something for your body. And so, that time of building up, renewing, regenerating the muscle tissues, the bones, like, trying to get strong so that hopefully on April 1st, maybe I can go outside and like run on pavement and it won't hurt so bad, or, get outside on my bike and, be thankful for those things. But I also think that this time of year, like all you ladies said, it's a time to read and kind of look inward. And there are so many great books out there, but mostly there's a lot of time for prayer and rest and reflection, to just have gratitude. Thank God for where we are. Thank God for the beauty. I keep looking around because I'm looking outside at the sunrise right now. And the trees are super bare. And it's just like, wow, it's so beautiful. Even though everything is bare, it's so beautiful. But yeah, I'm with you guys. It's a good time.
I read it in this morning affirmation, and it was very interesting and actually relates to this topic. It says, when we allow January to be the month of rest, something profound happens, and we stop treating exhaustion as a personal failure. And it was, and I actually read that 5 times just to, it makes sense to my brain that what exactly does it mean? Renewal doesn't begin with force. It begins with rest, with reset.
Mm-hmm.
So it was such a good.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah.
That was
Renewal
really
doesn't begin with force. That's
yeah,
so good.
that was really great what you just said. Say
That's
that
a great
again.
statement.
When we allow January to be about rest, something profound happens. We stop treating exhaustion as a personal failure.
Yeah. I'll have to rewind though. You said something about it doesn't begin with force, it begins with rest. And that
Renewal doesn't begin with force, it begins with reset and
right.
rest.
And I feel like that's the energy culturally that January represents. It's this forceful energy of, okay, it's a new year.
Have to.
Gotta do this, gotta do that. And honestly, I mean, we know culturally, like most of those forceful intentions are dropped probably before even February 1st hits. And then I think it feeds into this, what you just said, Minu, like, ugh, I failed. I didn't do it. Here I am again. Nothing is changing because it's not the right time. And again, I don't want to dissuade people. Like if somebody's super motivated to, let's just use the gym analogy, to go to the gym and lose those 10 pounds and they're like gung ho and they're doing it, then awesome, more power to you. But I think again, if we're following the course of nature, we're setting ourselves up for failure because now is not the time. As we've been saying, this is the time for rest. This is the time to let things germinate and renew. So I think there's a lot of value in getting behind this shift, this cultural shift into January. In January, we rest. I love that. I love that line.
Absolutely.
So we're going to have a New Year's party April 1st. So we all need to come together April 1st. We're going to have a New Year's party.
That is such a good idea.
Isn't it? We should start making it a tradition.
And call it a quarterly update.
It's time to spring into renewal, rejuvenation, springing into reinventing yourself if that's what you decide to do.
So what is the idea behind April Fools? I feel like there was something in those videos that you sent about January and why there was something about April Fools. What was that about?
That people who didn't believe that were fools. They didn't believe that was the beginning of the year. They were fools. So they call them April Fools.
My doves are so loud. I'm sorry.
We used to follow the lunar calendar in ancient times, and now we follow the solar calendar. So again, following the cycles of the moon, like the new moons began. I'm not well versed on it, but yeah, you said it, Scoopalicious, something about the people who didn't believe that the new year actually began around springtime. They were fools. They were April Fools. So interesting.
I'll have to look into that a little bit more just because April Fools is interesting. I never had heard about April Fools jokes and things like that until I was grade school, middle school, and it was definitely like an American thing. I don't know that it's something that we did in Chile or if that's common in India or in Mexico. I really have no idea. I've always wondered where it came from and what it stemmed from.
See, in India, as a kids, we have done some pranks on each other. Oh, it's an April Fool's Day, but nothing more than that.
Yeah.
But was it on April 1st? Was
Yes.
that the day? Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't recall anything like that culturally in Latin America, but
Mhm.
maybe there is. So anyway, so I think there's again something to be valued, something for us to think about, during this winter time, that it's okay if we're not feeling it. It's okay if we're not in that energy of I gotta change things up right now.
Mhm.
Because if it's not true for you, you're probably aligned with what's happening naturally, and that's okay.
In
So
the
I think,
environment, yeah.
yeah, I think it's okay to be gentle on yourself if what you're desiring right now is rest and renewal and reading and reflection, all those REs that Carolina talked about. So
I
I
love
want to,
that.
yeah.
Being gentle with yourself. I like how you said that.
So something else that has been on my mind lately is kind of aligned with this whole new year, new energy idea. Do you guys remember the movie Groundhog Day?
Mhm.
Do you remember
Yeah.
watching that?
Not well,
Yes.
but I do remember
I
that
Bill
think it's a great
Murray.
one.
Bill
Yeah.
Murray.
Yeah.
And Andy McDowell with her beautiful curly, God, that woman had just the most beautiful hair. You kind of look like her, Scoopalicious, especially with your waves right now. You got very
That's
Andy
a compliment
McDowell
because
vibes.
she is a very beautiful woman. I don't even think she aged.
Yeah, I was just going to say she's aged beautifully. Her and Julia
She
Roberts,
is
they look the same.
gorgeous.
So, Sally, I don't know if you heard, but I was thinking about Groundhog Day because I think one of the things, again, just kind of trying to stick with that theme of the new year, the whole idea behind Groundhog Day is that he's constantly repeating the same day over and over and over and over and over again until something shifts, right? So I think sometimes I feel like that's my life, that I'm living the same day over and over. And remember, we talked about identity a few weeks ago, working to align with the actual, like the true identity of who we are. I talked about like the seed of Buddhahood is inside. We're all made in God's perfect image. So what our true identity is, that we are like a soul, living this human experience. And so this whole movie, it's been on my mind since that identity episode, that I feel like my days aren't changing because the identity isn't changing. And I watched that movie last night just because it's been on my mind so much. I was like, I want to sit down and watch this movie. And I don't know how many days, like for how many days he repeats the same day. But, in the movie, you see several little tidbits of different days having the same day, but different actions. So it seems like he was stuck in that loop for months. And it's obviously towards the end of the movie when he finally breaks the cycle. And the line that caught my attention when we were watching the movies last night is he said because of course it's a love story, he says to Andy McDowell's character, her name is Rita, said, I don't know if you're gonna remember this day tomorrow or the next day. I don't know if you're gonna remember everything that we've done today. But he looked at her and he said, but today I'm gonna be happy. And I was like, and then the next day the cycle is broken. And he wakes up and it's the same song, I Got You, Babe, playing on the radio. But then Rita's in bed with him and reaches over to turn off the alarm. And he's like, oh my God, are you real? But it was that line, that line that really sparked something when I was watching the movie. And I was like, that's it.
Choose
Just
happy.
choose happy today. And I talked to Carolina yesterday. Yesterday was it yesterday or the day before? Like it has been a year, you guys. Since all that electrical stuff, like it's still ongoing. We have another electrical issue.
And now work.
And now we have to do more work. And it's been hard to when I'm stuck in these moments, I'm just like, I'm really trying to remember who I am. And I told Carolina the other day, I said, I feel like I'm repeating lines from The Lion King. Do you remember when Mufasa was like telling, was it Mufasa? Yeah, telling Simba,
Yes.
remember who you are.
Remember who you are.
I hear that voice in my
Remember who
head.
you are. I love that. That's a good voice to have in your head. Why
Yeah.
not?
But anyway, through all these obstacles, I heard that line and I was like, okay, that's it. Like, no matter what happens, today I'm happy. So do you guys have any thoughts about that?
So we talk about affirmations. We talk about manifestation. It was recently suggested to me to record your affirmations with the calming music in the back and record your affirmations and play it on a loop as you sleep. To listen to your own voice instead of just reading it I have affirmations on my computer. It says, "You are beautiful. You are not a bad mom. You are not fat." Monique wrote all those for me. And I honestly, I see them every day, but I don't read them every day. And when it was introduced to me to say your affirmations in your own voice and play it while you're sleeping, it really becomes ingrained. And it was kind of an eye-opening conversation, because have you ever heard that if you want to learn a new language, play it at night? Play the language at night, because your brain is absorbing so much while you're sleeping. And
Osmosis?
so
Is that what it's called?
perhaps, but I think I'm going to do a different spin on affirmations this year, because like I said, I was looking at them every day, but I wasn't reading them and I wasn't absorbing them, and it wasn't in my handwriting. It was someone else was telling me to affirm about myself. I need my own, in my own
Yeah, you got to
voice,
write it
in
down.
my own tone.
Sight, touch,
Listen,
sound.
listen to it. Really listen to yourself. So every morning I want to, or at night, I'm going to try that. I'll let you know how that goes.
I love that. I think there's a lot of power behind that. I'm big on sight, touch, sound. That's how I've raised my kids. That's how I practice like memory and like meeting people, and using your five senses is really important. I mean, they're God given, they're gifts. And, it's always been so interesting to me that when you lose one of your senses, the others are heightened. But why don't we practice heightening our senses right now, while we have all of them, while we're not losing our vision, while we're not losing our hearing, while we're not losing our sense of touch, which we are, because we don't have like that tactile function anymore of like keyboards and buttons and like feeling the pushing of something, the pressure of a button. Everything is touchscreen. And so we're already losing that like tactile function, and we don't even recognize it. But like while we have those senses, why not practice them? And it is proven that you remember more and that you see more and that you smell more when you practice 3 senses at a time. And so I've always told my kids, and I always try to remember for myself when I meet somebody new, or when I am somewhere new, to try to remember that feeling using sight, touch, sound. And when you practice it, like if you meet somebody new, you're seeing them, you're hearing them, and you're touching them, which is another reason that I feel like personal touch is so important. Handshakes are so important. And in 2020, it was so hard to do like closings and meet new people and not be allowed to shake a hand, or
Do you
not be
remember
allowed
the
to
elbow?
embrace. Yes, it was so bad. And it's like,
Fist bump.
Oh,
I'm so glad we're back to being able to touch, because I'm a hugger and a lover and a toucher, and especially, we had a bunch of kids over last night, and like my kids' friends, they're all taller than me now. And whenever I lean in to hug them, I always find myself like resting my head on their chest, just because it's another thing that I've always done with my kids is like, how's your heart this morning? And they allow me to like rest my head on their chest. I'm like, what's your heart telling me today? And so now, as they're older and I hug and embrace people, I still like have that habit of just like nestling in, that perfect spot right here where you can just like nestle into somebody and you can just hear their heart. And it's just, there's so much power in sound and hearing that, like I think about when I lose my hearing, because I'm sure I will, because my mom is like honestly pretty much deaf. And that's what I think about, is not hearing heartbeats anymore. Isn't that weird?
That reminds me of a newborn baby, when they put that baby on your chest.
Yeah. I love the sound of heartbeats. It's the best sound in the world.
I came across something about stimulating the pineal glands, which I couldn't tell you exactly where it sits, but somewhere back here, and it kind of aligns with your third eye. And there's these certain sounds that are supposed to like activate that gland. So it's interesting that you said that you're going to listen to things at night, because I've been playing those sounds, and if you just YouTube it, pineal gland activation, and it's the most relaxing. It's just different sounds, and they calm me down so much. Maybe because I'm listening to it at night and I'm tired, but it's been such a nice way to fall asleep. Did you have something, Minu? I thought I.
Oh, no. I'm like, when you're talking about it, I'm like, yes, I listen to this called subliminal music
Mhm.
when you hit the bed. And no matter how anxious I am, it just changes the rhythm of my body and breathing,
Yeah.
And I sometimes, I am in my memory lane where I'm a little child, sometimes something else. You just forget what's happening, what's triggering you. Click on that.
And certain frequencies create certain
Yes.
emotions or reactions within you. There was a movie that they said, and I'm going to find it, and I don't suggest that you watch it, and I won't watch it, because they specifically used certain frequencies and sounds to terrorize, because it was a horror movie, the audience. The audience had to leave. And it wasn't so much that the filming was bad, what was on screen was bad. It was the frequencies and the sounds that they used that people were like, I need to get out of here. And and people left the theater.
What?
Frequencies and sounds are very, very powerful.
Highly used, especially in horror movies. Yeah.
Well, I think we've talked about this too before, about how we're all emitting a frequency, right? And again, sorry, you guys, Kathy, she talks about this whole idea of we are receivers, we're radios basically. And we're all emitting a certain type of frequency. And most of us are emitting, a low vibration frequency, when what we're wanting is the things that we want, exist at a higher vibration. And so she talks about this whole idea of we have to tune our internal radios to those higher frequencies, if that's where we're choosing to operate, or that's where what we want is operating out of those higher frequencies.
You gotta get rid of the static.
Yeah. And it makes so much sense, because energetically, we are energetic beings. And go ahead.
I have watches. I love watches. I have an Apple Watch that I hardly ever wear, but I like regular watches. And when I hate to say regular, like it should just be, when you say a watch, right?
Tick, tick, tick.
Yes. I drain the battery out of watches. Like I now just wear them. I've learned to now just wear them for the way they look, because my energy drains the batteries on watches. I would be always changing my watch battery.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's interesting.
So if you see me with a watch and you ask me what time it is, I won't look at my watch, because I'll never know what time. I just stopped. I was putting batteries in all the time.
You got to get watches without batteries.
You got to get
the ones that just work on movement and energy and solar.
I have my dad's old
Sega
watch.
Watches are incredible.
Do they still make them?
I was going to say, I didn't even know they made those. I knew they made like wind-up watches.
Yeah, that's essentially what it is a wind-up watch.
Yeah,
but it stores energy based on your movement.
Oh, that's cool.
Erin just got me a watch for Christmas, and it's really beautiful, because a lot of times you can get them transparent, so you can see the back and the front, and so you can see everything
All
moving inside. And there's actually not just one tick, but there's something moving circularly, and then there is something that's moving side to side to keep like what is that called? A metrodome? To keep like the rhythm of it. And there's a lot of moving parts. It's actually really, really interesting.
That sounds really cool.
They are really, really cool watches. They're a little pricier, but you don't ever need a battery. And they're just beautiful. They're beautiful watches. The one that I got just now is called Sega. And they're really, really cool watches. But yeah, try that. No battery required.
I am. I'm going to need a reminder. I'm going to text you later and be like, I need you to send me a reminder of that watch.
Sega watch.
Yeah, CIGA. I like them. My gosh, the sun is so bright right now. I'm sorry, I keep looking. It's so beautiful.
We can see the sun behind you, how the light has changed as we've been.
And you can hear my birds are going nuts, because they're just loving the sunlight right now.
It's beautiful.
It's really beautiful.
They just want to be part of the podcast.
Yeah.
They usually are, or lately they have been.
I know, because I'm out here in the living room instead of in my bedroom. Right. When we record early, it's nice, because everything is still in my home except for the birds. Even the dogs are not up and moving around yet.
I love birds.
They're nice.
They are nice. Well, you guys,
Paula had the sweetest bird. Sorry.
Oh, I did. Topic. We can talk about my angel. Oh, she was.
Yes.
Had a little cockatiel.
It was a cockatiel. Oh my gosh, it was the sweetest bird. It was like a hugger. I don't know that birds can hug, but it was like, it would like nestle. It was.
And Lizzie used to take it in the shower, and she would spread her little wings and, have her bath in the shower with my daughter. She was a sweet little bird.
Aww.
Well, all right, you guys, I think this has been a good conversation. I think, again, it's a wonderful idea to reflect on what January could mean, instead of, this pressure engine of getting things done, that maybe we should do some reflection that January is meant to be a month of rest, so that we can regenerate and refresh and let our seeds germinate, so that we can fully come into ourselves when the timing is right. And I was kind of Googling in the background, because I remembered something from Peter Pan that kind of made me think about this month. And Peter Pan says, and I don't remember who he's talking to, but he says, would you like an adventure now, or shall we have our tea first? And so I feel like that's what January is, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like we should be sitting down and having our cup of tea right now before we jump into our next adventure. So that's what I want to leave you with today.
I love that.
Yes,
All
me
right.
too.
So thank you all for joining us on the Sunday Sunday podcast. Please give us a like, send us a comment, and we will see you next week. Happy Sunday Sunday.
Happy Sunday, Sunday, guys.
Happy Sunday, Sunday.
Happy Sunday, Sunday.